Hi, welcome to another episode of Duck Chatter. On this week's episode of Duck Chatter, we're going to talk about jerk strings. You got several different types of jerk strings, but today we're going to talk about just your normal store-bought jerk strings and a homemade jerk string and how to make one. The store-bought jerk strings, you know, basic, you got a small bungee and you have a weight when you buy them at the store, and they come with 4 clips. And then I think they average, some are 50, some are 100 foot. A lot of people use these with the clips. We typically don't. We typically make our own. We're going to talk later in the episode about the difference in rigging them with clips and rigging them with just the strings. But most of these store-bought ones are the same. They come with different size weights. When we use ours, homemades, we have no weight. We normally use ours with a mojo pole or some type of stick or a tree or something of that nature. And what we do is we buy the smallest type string that we can find, and then we buy several bungees so we can make several at a time. And we just make something out of wood, something out of plastic, a kite string roller. We use those. We just take those and roll as much string up on them, and then once we get them stringed up, you tie the bungee on there, and on this one we have a rope tied to the end so that we can put the rope around a tree or put it around a pole to secure it so that we don't have to hook the bungee, and then you're ready to start rigging decoys. I cut this string holder out of a piece of wood, just 1x6, just cut a little notch in it and started wrapping the string around it. Once you get the string all the way wrapped around it, then you can take any type of bungee. What I did is went to the local Academy or Walmart, and I found some black string, and I prefer the bigger string because it doesn't cut into your hand as much when you're pulling a jerk string a lot. I'm normally the one on the jerk string, so there's some people that prefer smaller string. It's less visible on the water at times. I prefer the long one, but what I did is I just went and bought some basic paracord, black paracord, or just black string. I bought about 200 foot of it because there's times where we have a long distance. We prefer this type of bungee over the hard black rubber bungees. These are more elastic. They give you a lot more movement. Then what we do is we just tie a string on the end so that we can tie it to a tree, tie it to a mojo pole, tie it to a weight if we want a weight, and then you got yourself a homemade pull cord. With our homemade strings, what we do is we strap it to the pole, and then you'll take it out as far as you need to where you have a good enough room to put the decoys on, and you're going to stab that pole in and just start unwinding back to the bank until you get to your decoys, and you'll just start rigging your decoys from there. A lot of times we use poles, but there's several times when we're in the timber we use the rope and we just tie it onto a tree, bushes, and anything that's sturdy enough that won't shake when you're pulling it is fine when you're running a pull string. With a lot of your store-bought jerk strings, they come with weights, and when we use weights on ours, you'll do the same thing as a homemade. You want to walk it as far out as you need to. Once you get it out, you're going to toss your weight out, but you want to pull your string tight, and you're going to want to step on your weight. You want to step on it until it's sunk in the mud real good or in the ground. That's going to eliminate the possibility of the weight coming back to you when you're pulling the pull string. And then after that, you're just going to unwind it, and you're going to either clip it in a clip, or like we like to do, we're going to wrap it around the head. I need decoys for a jerk string. What are you doing?
You're supposed to bring them.
I'm out here in the mud, and you're up there with the decoys. Why can't you give them to me? Golly! Appreciate it. There's a couple ways to rig your decoys on a jerk string. Right now we're going to hook them on the hooks. When you hook your decoys on the hooks, it tends to give it a more natural water movement when you pull them. So what you do is this particular jerk string has 4 hooks on it. We got 3 decoys. What we're going to do is we're going to hook the decoys on it. Once you get the decoys hooked on it, then the decoys will be in a natural movement as if they're following each other, and it works very well. The other way to rig the decoys is around the head, and what this is going to do is it's going to give you more water movement. What you do is you get you some slack, and you're going to make a loop in your string. You're going to pull it around itself and just make a double loop. When you do that, you just slide it over the head and pull it tight. Then you come down and you do the same thing for however many decoys you're going to put on. Make the loop, double it over, put it over the head, and pull it tight. What this is going to do is give you more water movement as the side of the decoy is splashing more water than just hooking it on the keel. So this is a little trick that we do all season long. If you've ever noticed, when you put your pull string out, the pull string's floating on top of the water and it leaves a black line. What we've seen with drone footage is that that line stands out pretty good. So what we started doing is we started making our own small weights to put on the pull string between the last decoy and wherever the person that's pulling it is standing, whether it's a blind, a tree, anything of that nature. So what we do is we take it and we rig it just like the decoys. We're going to take it, wrap a loop, you're going to pull this through there and pull the weight through the loop. And then you're going to pull that string tight, and then once you pull it tight, what that's going to do is going to sink your string so that when you're pulling it, your string does not come out of the water, so it tends to leave less streaks on the water when you're hunting. Another tip from our late great friend Tyler Merritt is called swimming your decoys. What you're going to do is when the ducks are making a pass, you're going to pull the string as tight as you can pull it. Once you get it tight and you see the ducks are at the point where they are looking into the hole, you're going to let go of the string and allow the string to recoil back, and it's going to look like ducks swimming away. When the ducks are flying straight over the hole, there's times where you can and can't pull your pull string. If you are going to pull it and the ducks are right over you, the best you can do is slightly pull it so that your decoys have a quiver to them and it looks like the ducks are just swimming sitting still. Another important thing to do is to know when and when not to pull the jerk string. A lot of times you got to read the ducks with calling, with everything in duck hunting, and that's also has to do with pulling the jerk string. You don't want to pull the jerk string when the ducks are looking right at you. There's a lot of tendency that when you're pulling the jerk string and the ducks are coming right at you, they're going to pick out your movement no matter how hid you are when you're pulling the string. Yet they could pick out the string movement, they could pick out your arm movement, they could pick out any type of movement. So you don't want to pull the string when the ducks are flying at you. What you need to do is you pull it when the ducks are making swings around the hole. A good thing to do is pull the pull string to make a lot of ripple on the water so that when they fly back over, even though the decoys are stationary, the water is still rippling. So that's what we do. We make sure that when the ducks are making swings, we pull and create as much water movement as possible so that when they make their swing to come back at us, that there's no movement for them to catch. In the string movement that we try to alleviate with the weight or with our arm movements when we're pulling the string. When we rig these decoys up on the head, the reason we do it that way is when you take them off, the string isn't knotted up, it doesn't tangle. So I'm going to show you how we take them off. What you're going to do is pull the slag in tight and you're going to find your loop. You're going to pull the loop loose a little bit. Once you get it loose, then you just slip it over top of the head. And when you slip it over the head, the knot just goes straight out. And then you move on to the next one. Pull your tag in, loosen it up, pull it up and over the head, comes right out. Then you're ready to roll. I hope these tips help you in the future. Thanks again for watching another episode of Duck Chatter. Tune in next week for another episode.